Hi everybody and welcome back. Rachel here, the Modern Shaman. Thanks for being with me for yet another YouTube video. I was gone for a while and now I am back and I'm loving this shared energy. Thanks for you guys who kind of wrote back and replied that you were excited for the Peru trip. This is going to be a beautiful time of pilgrimage. I'm calling it a pilgrimage because it is truly a sacred, very intentional time in which some of us are going to Peru. Oh, I got a haircut. Did y'all see that? I just wanted to do something healthy. You know, it's funny. I was talking to a friend of mine. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. And she was like, show me a woman who's cut her hair and I'll show you a woman who's ready to take on the world. And I was like, yeah, I'm feeling that. I'm feeling that. So I'm loving it. Anyhow, I would also like to say, if you are unfamiliar with me or my work, go to my website. That's themodernshaman.net. It's a wonderful resource for anything that is connected to the Modern Shaman, the sessions that I do here in my office in San Antonio, Texas, one-on-one, or I do them on Zoom also or on the phone. So for those of you guys that are all over the world, I'm always accessible, but you can sign up there on my website. And I also have all my teaching programs on there. So I have online modules and classes and a lot of learning if you really want to get deeper in your own abilities for the sacred intuitive arts, the shamanic arts, all of that in terms of psychic awareness and the metaphysical realm. There's a lot of resources there. So reach out for that. Or mentorship. I have mentorship programs on there as well. Okay, I had a question come in. It's been a long while, but someone sent one in and I wanted to address it. It's wonderful. It says, hi Rachel, I loved your video on crystal potentials. I'm so glad you're back on YouTube and doing these videos again. I would love if you would give some more information, in particular about the potentials of magnets. You are so full of information and speak very clearly to where I'm able to understand. So I would really appreciate it if you would talk more about magnets, which I'm feeling called to use in my healings. Thanks again. Okay, I'm not going to say the name. I was about to say the name. Okay, magnets are awesome and I use them all the time in my healings. I actually teach, when I teach shamanic energy work and programs, they're kind of like a go-to stone for me. And stones have a lot of potentials. It's interesting how we're so drawn to stones, but we don't really know why. And there's a lot of people within the metaphysical communities who use stones in their healing modalities, but they don't always put together like, why do they work? Or why am I called to certain things? And that video I did on crystal potentials that she's mentioning, you should go check out if you haven't already. Go back to the archive in YouTube and look at it. I have my little box of treasures. See my little box? This is my little healing box. I usually, if I'm doing healing on someone, I bring it out. Isn't it pretty? I got it in Turkey. It just feels special and sacred. So anyways, I often use magnetic hematite. And it has powerful capabilities when utilizing the magnetic component of the hematite. So hematite sometimes is not polarized. So you want to make sure if you're buying hematite as a stone, that it is the magnetic form. Okay, so the first thing that I want to say about magnets is part of why they're so powerful is they have a stop-start mechanism to them because they have two different sides, the negative and the positive side, right? And so that has an aspect to it that can mobilize or immobilize programs that are set. So for instance, just think about the magnetic key cards that a lot of hotels use. I don't know if you've ever done this, but I have done this a million times, where you accidentally put the key card next to your phone in your purse, and then you go and you try to open your room and it won't work because the magnetic strip has been immobilized or has been cleared because it was too close to your cell phone, which has EMF frequencies, and the EMF radiation that it's emitting clears the magnetic strip. So there is a magnetic component that is very, very powerful to be able to utilize when we're using stones that have magnetism, natural magnetism in them. And so because our bodies, our store thought patterns, they store DNA patterns, there's a lot of patterning within our body, even our day-to-day stuff. We have a lot of patterning. When you want to shift those patterns, clear those patterns, change those patterns, make an effective stop or start to patterning, magnets are very, very useful. So the way that I like to do it if I'm shifting thought patterns is make sure that I have either the positive or the negative side, because two positives will repel one another. And you'll feel the buoyancy of the magnetic current. It will kind of push and repel. So you can use that repelling if it's a thought pattern, in through the ears, the different orifices that pull in electromagnetic current, because our bodies are electromagnetic capacitors. And they will utilize that electromagnetic current and kind of move it through the body. Our heartbeat emits EMF frequencies, radiation. We literally are electromagnetic in nature. This is where our chakras run the energy. They are our electromagnetic organs. And our heart is that central core space that is moving and pumping and keeping that pattern flowing. And it helps to create our auric field, which some people are trained to see, but it is outside of the visible light spectrum. But it is light and frequency that is being emitted from our electromagnetic body. So when we utilize the magnets to essentially harness and pull that current in different directions throughout the body, or shift the polarization, or clear a particular pattern that's running in the system, it brings about healing. It brings about, like I said, clearing, what have you. So you would utilize the repulsion of either two positive sides of the magnet or the negative side to kind of suck. It kind of pulls, right? And you can utilize that pulling out through where there are patterns stored. So sometimes it's negative patterns inside of our mind, right? Where we have had trauma from childhood, where we've heard over and over negative things about ourselves, kind of the internal bully, the meanie that's in our mind. It's like, you can't do that, you're no good, and we can use the magnetics to clear that pattern and begin to start a new pattern and amplify that new pattern, pull the new pattern out of ourselves. So that's one thing that's very powerful with magnets, is clearing patterns and using that kind of stop start to get rid of programs that are set within us. This also is inclusive of ancestral patterning, right? If within the DNA, and you can run that up and down the bloodlines, up and down the spine. The blood is particularly mobilized through magnets because it has iron in it, and iron is magnetic in nature. And so as the hemoglobin, that protein and hemoglobin carries the oxygen through the body, when you are moving the magnets up and down the spine, up and down kind of the veins of the body, and out certain areas, out the fingertips, out, like I said, the eyes, the ears, you can come out through the top of the head and the hair follicles, out through the mouth, out through the toes. You can run the bloodlines through different directional influence. Then essentially you can help clear and shift the polarization of that blood. And the blood and all that it carries within the body also is inclusive of our DNA and the DNA sequencing, which is also patterns, and simply clearing magnetic components of the patterns. Anywhere there is iron, there is magnetic influence or availability for influencing, for repelling or attracting. Okay? Set that in alignment with your intention. So be very direct in what you're telling your body to do, what you're telling the magnets to do. And essentially you are setting that thought program, and then you are mobilizing that thought program. So you're pushing them, you're using the positive polarization of those magnets to push and kind of add that current, the movement of the current. Okay, I should say that, so magnets and magnetic electrons, right, spin around a nucleus, and they force or influence the nucleus to spin in the same direction. Okay, the magnetic molecules. So they can influence and direct the current of energy. So if you want them to be moving and get mobilization in certain areas that have felt blocked, then they can be very powerful to get movement, start the spin, and influence and make other components of the nucleus spin with it. So this is really helpful for unblocking certain areas of the body, for creating change in the body, for ushering in a current that you want to bring about, where there has been stagnation or blockage within the body or the mind or the spirit. One last thing I want to say is that earth is a neutralizer. Okay, so these are my little bags of dirt, my dirt bags. Anybody who's ever had a shamanic healing session with me knows I use these all the time. So it's just dirt and cheesecloth, but it has enough of the diffusion of the dirt that it kind of like still gets out on your hands. And they're perfectly sized for palms or for using like a compress. Sometimes I will get them wet and muddy, get them all dirty. Look, can y'all see that dirt? Yes, so they kind of make the dirt come out, and it is a neutralizer to whatever is highly magnetically charged in the body. So this is helpful because oftentimes we get a lot of discharge from highly active, overstressful lives, or our highly active magnetic components of our life, which cause frictional energy. This is an energetic discharge. So it reduces the magnetism in something. So for instance, if we are highly drawn to an individual that we don't think is positive, like a toxic relationship or drama in our lives, and we're trying to minimize that, dirt is the kind of antithesis, or a helpful neutralizer, I should say. It kind of dumps that excess charge into the earth and absorbs it. Easiest way, I mean, these are obviously healing tools that I use, but if you're on your own and by yourself, go lay on the earth. Neutralize the electromagnetic energy, the static that essentially builds up and needs to discharge. You need to dump those charges off of yourself. And it is incredibly healing to go lay on some dirt. This is why we love laying in the sand, although sand has like little tiny crystals in it. So sometimes it charges us like a little crystal. I hope that's helpful to you guys. I'm going to sign off here, and next week I'll be back with another video. Bye, you guys. Thanks for joining me.